Hello and welcome to day 7. So today I'm going to give you some information about what it is that we're doing here. And I love doing a bit of time travel, so I'm going to time travel all the way back to when I was training to be a state school teacher. And I was doing my second teaching practice in this school. And my lesson I was teaching was physics. So what I did is I got a couple of Buddhist monks to come into the classroom with me. And effectively they really took most of the lesson. All I was doing was introducing them and supporting what they were doing. And they're a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds, and they're talking about sound. And I love the way they did it, because it says what we do is we're Buddhists and we chant. And we chant because it does some really amazing things to us, and we really like how it feels. And to be honest, you can chant anything you like if you want. You can chant baked beans, baked beans, baked beans if you want. That'll still have an effect. And I love the way they said it and the smiles on their faces they were saying that. And they then introduced us to the chant that they like to do. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to introduce you to the same chant that these Nichiren Shoshu Buddhist monks initiated me into a long time ago. And just to go back even further, what really captivated my interest in chanting was the health counsellor's course I did. We did a lot of chanting in that, and we combined it with other practices like postures, breath work. And the reason why it was part of the health counsellor's course is the same reason why when I did my shamanic practitioner's training we had a whole weekend devoted to the practice of sound. It's because sound has the capability to heal. And just by coming out into nature and being quiet and listening to the sounds of the birds. And when we arrived we could also hear the sounds of the sheep bleating. And there's also that background hum of the cars on the main road. There's something about extroverted sensing. When you take your senses, your sensory awareness, and you extend it out of yourself into your immediate environment, that is something that has got a lot of power in its own right. And we've worked with a variety of different chants from different parts of the world. We're going to go back to Japan again for this one, because that's where Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism comes from. And it's a really simple, straightforward chant. So up until now I've been making the sounds, and I've been inviting and encouraging, if you want to make sounds along with me, please do. So this is going to be a bit different, because I'm going to make the sounds and invite you, encourage you to join in with me if you want to. However, before the film finishes I'm going to stop, and I'm going to allow you to be accompanied only by the sound of the drumming very gently, and by the sounds of the birds in the environment. And we will stop chanting and we'll give you the space to do that. So why is it that a lot of forms of meditation you're sitting down in silence, and here you are with me, and there's all this stuff going on? It's because there's lots of different forms of meditation. And in one of the early ones you notice we did the looking into the candle. That's a concentration exercise. Well, most of the meditations I'm doing, well, all of them really, they've got an active dynamic component, which is the making of sounds. So in shamanism, sound can be used to heal. And if you want to become good at making sounds, the first thing you want to do is to follow my advice about the breathing, deepening your breathing. The deeper you breathe, the more fully you breathe in and breathe out. And if you then start to add to that, holding on the in breath and holding on the out breath. So we're going to go into all that in a bit more detail today as well, so you can see a complete cycle, a breathwork cycle, and see just how deep you can make it. And when I breathe, I make noises. I make a sound when I do it, and that's deliberate. And in fact, it's a cornerstone of shamanic practice. If you've got some shamanic work to do for a client, the very first thing you do, sitting down, your client, so you do something like this. You do that a few times, and that's just a very quick cleansing, detoxing breath cycle that you could do. Very powerful thing to do. So I watched my teacher do that many times, and I've done it myself working for clients. So that's something you can do. But what with this, we're going to do a nice simple piece of breath work, and then we're going to go into the sound itself, and I'm going to explain all about it before so you know what's going on. So it's incredibly simple. It's not the simplest thing of all I've shown you. Probably the simplest was the soo. This is a bit more involved, but still pretty simple. And you've got 4 sounds. You've got nam. So the first sound is nam. The second sound is myoho. The third sound is renge. And the fourth sound is kyo. And if you have any familiarity with Japanese, you'll think, yeah, these sounds, they feel a bit Japanese, and that's because they are. So it's literally nam, myoho, renge, kyo. Now what I've been doing a lot of teaching by example, not explaining anything for the last 6 films, but let me just make it clear to you. I like to play around with these sounds, and I also like to put some kind of a musical component to it. So for example, I could do nam myoho renge kyo. I could do it just flat, the same kind of sound as when I'm speaking, but I like to add something extra to it. I like to add some kind of melody to it, so I get very creative and experimental. I just play about. So I will be playing about with nam myoho renge kyo, just like I played around with Sat Chit Anandam and Aham Brahmasmi. It's really great to play around with these sounds, because this is leading you towards something I'm really interested in you doing for yourself. And that is to discover for yourself which sounds for you in that moment, in that space and time, actually provide you with healing, that heal you. Because that's the point of all this work. This is all like a preparatory series of exercises until you can get to the point you can go out into nature. You'll be in your sitting room or wherever you happen to be, and you'll just start making sounds spontaneously and naturally, and you'll be completely playful with it, and you'll hit notes, and those notes will heal you. And those of you who've heard about the solfeggio frequencies, the 4-3-2 and the 5-2-8 and all the other Hertz frequencies, you can go on YouTube and you can actually listen to music that's been made with very specific sounds. And in fact, the sounds which is used for all commercial music is regarded to be a dodgy one. There's a particular frequency they use which is actually very much against healing and is unhelpful. And one of the first steps people take is out of conventional music which they're listening to on stream or CD or whatever, and they find something like 4-3-2 Hertz music, and it might often be called meditation music. When you come across that, you'll notice there's something different about the quality. It's actually in tune with the natural sounds. It's in tune with the sounds of the natural world. So sadly, most commercial music is actually made with what I call the renegade sound, which just has the opposite ability to heal. It does something to disturb the body, and particularly the DNA. So that's why when I was doing all those retreats, I was incredibly careful about the music I chose, and I chose mostly music which was well away from the West. Not always, but mostly. That was what this was all about, was to actually kind of make sure you were not programming yourself with other people's mind control. So this is completely the opposite. This is an opportunity for you to continue to explore these ancient sacred sounds. And whether it's Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, whether it's Hebrew spirituality, whether it's, it'll come to me in a minute, Sanskrit chants, whatever it is, you're tapping into something that's been used by many, many thousands or millions or even more than millions of people. So it's got a real pedigree for healing attached to it. However, the ultimate destination with all this is to find your own individual sounds which work the magic for you. So because I've got the drum out here, I'm just going to start us off with a classic shamanic theta brain rhythm, and this provides the background. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to start to do the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, as it's called. But before I do it, I'll do the deep breathing. So I'll start off with a full exhalation. I'll hold for a few seconds, I'll inhale fully and deeply, and I'll hold. I'll do a full exhalation so you can see how that goes. was it really. So what I did is I start off with that exhalation, and I did a hold and the exhale, a full inhalation, really breathing deeply, especially through the lower abdomen, through down there, and that does 80% of all your gas exchange, your deep breathing with the lower abdomen. And I was holding it with a full inhalation, letting all that massive amount of oxygen I just taken in through the air to percolate its way into the lungs and allows the lungs to discharge their carbon dioxide, and another full exhalation. And you can keep on doing that. So today, because I'm constantly going by guidance, I'm going to do that for a cycle of 3. And I'm going to go straight into Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. And as I say to you always, you can choose whether you want to join in or whether you want to just listen and imagine you're doing it in your head. And then we'll finish by providing you with the silence, the space, which you can use to devote yourself to this particular chant. So we'll do first exhalation, and then we'll do 3 cycles. So I'm now going to change my posture to the Caesar position, which I did yesterday, which is where I'm sitting on my feet, or having my feet just to either side of me. And I'm going to start off without the drum, and I'm going to add the drum in a bit. So there's something about this particular posture which is very powerful for doing chanting. So off we go. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. I'm doing a deep out breath and in breath before I start. That's how I can vibrate the sound with power. That's what it's all about, vibrating the sound with power. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. 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 Renge kyo, nam myoho 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 renge kyo, renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, nam myoho renge kyo, renge kyo, nam myoho 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 renge kyo. And I've just been asked to share with you that this is related to the practice from Buddhism called the Lotus Sutra. So the Nam-myoho Renge Kyo comes from the Lotus Sutra, and it's very much to do with love and peace and compassion for all beings. And that is one of the points of meditation. All practices of meditation bring us into this space of connection, oneness, peacefulness, acceptance, appreciation, gratitude, love. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next day. Thank you.